For any poor soul who thinks I'm put together, this is a prime example of why I'm not. This is peanut butter toast on my brother's Scooby-Doo plate as my lunch at 2:45 p.m. There's peanut butter stuck all over. Is this crooked? Oh my, this video is so chaotic. Okay, hello and welcome. Today's video, we're talking Instagram. If you've watched my videos or you know me personally, you know that I actually work in social media, with a lot of that work being centered around Instagram. Some might call me an expert. By some, I mean no one. I thought I would share a few really simple things that you can be doing to optimize your presence on social media. I know there are a lot of videos out there that tell you like the tips and tricks for Instagram and things you should be doing, and it's all these like hashtag strategies and whatnot. Listen, that's not what this video is. This video is for everyday practices that you're basically doing wrong. And I'm gonna walk you through each one and why it's so important to kind of switch some things that you might be doing that you probably didn't think of at all. Ideally, by doing all the things that I share, you'll increase your engagement on Instagram, as well as retaining your followers and hopefully growing your follower base. First things first, and I don't think a lot of people think about this, but when you are actually posting a photo in feed, think about how you're cropping that photo. Obviously, the options are like landscape, you've got the square, and then you've got portrait. A trend in this video is going to be that people on social media are lazy. And by lazy, I mean that it is a very habitual movement to scroll on social media, and they need visual cues and things that are going to signal to them that they should engage with something and grab their interest. So basically, all the things I'm going to share with you today are to really optimize that experience for people who are just kind of lazily scrolling through social media and probably skipping over a lot of content. When you are choosing between the crops of your photos, I highly recommend making sure that your aspect ratio is 4:5, which is the portrait setting. The reason that portrait setting is the optimal way to crop your photos is because it takes up the most space on a user's screen. Think about a phone and a photo on the phone. It's relatively small, and if there's a lot of stuff going in the photo, it's not as accurately captured if it's in landscape mode because it ends up really squished on the screens. So ideally what you want to do is take up the most real estate on the screen and kind of be the only thing on the screen as they're swiping through. When you put your photos in portrait mode, you're taking up that most real estate because it's vertical, which fits with a natural phone screen, and that gives just enough space to show your photo and your caption and any engagement tools, etc. So if you're currently cropping things horizontally, just stop that altogether. If you have to stray away from portrait, go to square. At least you're taking up more space than you would be if you were doing landscape, which also means that when you're taking your photos and videos, take all of them vertically so that when you go to post, they're optimized for that aspect ratio. Second tip is something that's been said a lot by a lot of different people who share their best practices about Instagram, and that is to add value through your copy. 100% agree, but I think there needs to be a little bit more emphasis on what value could be. I think some people think that it has to be some sort of like offering or tips or advice or some sort of like life story that really encompasses all these things, and you're just like inspiring people and teaching people and all of that, when value can really be something as simple as entertainment or humor or something that's witty or a good pun or anything like that really just signals to whoever's seeing that content, hey, I like that. You don't have to do the most, and if anything, you should be doing the least. Like I said, people are just mindlessly scrolling through social media, so if you can catch their attention in as few words as possible, that's where the money is. Third thing again speaks to the fact that people need their attention to be grabbed. That doesn't mean that you're adding strobe lights and smoke and all of these glittery effects. You also want to take in consideration who your audience is and what will grab their attention. The reason you have to consider your audience to best inform what will capture their attention visually is because you're trying to signal to them that it's you posting. For example, if I'm posting on @SenCity_, which is my personal page, and I post something like a cactus, nobody's going to look at that cactus and be like, oh my gosh, it's Sam. Like, I love following her, I want to engage, like I love her content, because I'm not known for posting about plants or adding value in the plant world. I'm known for lifestyle content. So typically, in order to grab my audience's attention visually, I have to be in the photo for them to recognize that it's me. Same thing for a brand. I work for Lululemon, and I specifically work in Vancouver. And when I'm posting on social media, it's really important for me to make sure there's either a really obvious tie to the brand or a very obvious tie to Vancouver. So making sure that everything you post has a visual cue for your audience to be like, oh my gosh, it's this person, I want to engage because I'm a loyal follower, is really beneficial for upping your engagement. Some people rely heavily on their handle being there, but like I said, people are mindlessly scrolling. There's a lot going on their screen in really quick intervals, and not everyone's going to catch that your handle is above a photo. Another thing is leveraging carousels. And if you don't know what carousels are you living under a rock? Just kidding. It's when you upload multiple photos and it turns into that like swipey carousel, you know? Leveraging carousels are great for multiple reasons, but I'll highlight two. The first one is you can show a lot more variance in content without sacrificing the visual aesthetic of your feed. So if you want to show short form video content, or you want to show something that's a little bit more raw or like less aesthetically pleasing, you can do that behind a photo that still fits with your social look and feel, so that A, speaking to my last point, your audience can recognize that it's you that's posting, and then kind of swipe through for different types of entertainment and different content to keep them engaged for longer. The second good thing about carousels is that when somebody sees your first photo of your carousel and they don't engage with it, the second photo will act as if you posted again and reappear on their feed. They don't engage again, the third photo pops up onto their feed and they're seeing it again. Basically, it gives your content a lot more exposure and people have a lot more opportunity to see it again and re-engage. So what I recommend is that in your carousel, you're sharing a lot of different types of photos, because if the first one didn't speak to them, the second one might. The second one doesn't, the third one might. If you're posting the same photos but like slightly different and they didn't like it the first time, chances are they're not gonna like it a second time. And then the last thing I wanna say has to do with your copy. Try and keep one thought per post. I sound like a broken record, but again, people are lazy. They're mindlessly scrolling. They don't have time to read a lot of things, and frankly, they don't want to. So make sure that everything that you're saying in the caption or whatnot has one thought, one call to action, one this, one that, and keep it as simple as possible. I won't lie, I'm a bit of a culprit with adding a bunch of things in my captions, but just make sure that you have one clear message for them to receive so that they can see it really quickly, understand what your post is about, and choose to engage or not engage instead of being overwhelmed or saturated with a lot of content. People on social media are seeing a lot of things really quickly, so try not to pile more on top of that and create too much stimulus. Those are my top best practices for optimizing your Instagram that you might not have heard of before or may have heard of a little differently. I hope these help, and I hope they're relatively simple to start applying to your Instagram starting now. Let me know if you want to see more videos like this in the comments down below, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!